He told me he'd loved me since 1892, but the portrait in the museum proved something far more terrifying. I met him on a rainy afternoon in Bath, the kind of day where time feels slower and every step echoes like history calling through. Cobbled streets. I ducked into the Holborn Museum to escape the cold and found myself wandering aimlessly between dusty oil portraits and Regency artifacts, lost in the silence. And then I saw him, standing perfectly still in front of a Victorian painting, tall, striking, in a long charcoal overcoat with the sort of posture that made him look carved from another era. Our eyes met, and for a moment I thought I'd imagined him, until he smiled, approached gently, and said, "You haven't changed at all." I laughed awkwardly, assuming it was a cheesy pickup line, but something in his voice made my spine tingle. He asked if we could talk over tea, and though every warning in my head told me no, I found myself saying yes. His name, he said, was James Ashworth. He was educated, eloquent, and eerily familiar, like a memory I couldn't place. During tea, he spoke like he knew me, my favorite authors, my childhood dog, the name of the street I grew up on in Devon. Things I'd never shared online, never even spoken aloud. When I asked how he knew, his expression shifted with an ache that felt centuries old. "Because I've loved you since 1892, he said. "You don't remember, but we were married once when your name was Eliza Harrow." I laughed again, nervously this time, waiting for the punchline, but he was serious, deadly serious. He pulled out an old brass locket and showed me a daguerreotype. Inside, a woman who looked exactly like me, standing next to a man who was unmistakably him. The resemblance was terrifying. I went home that night thinking it was an elaborate prank, but I couldn't sleep. The next day, I returned to the museum, drawn by a name he'd whispered before parting, the Lovers of Windmere Hall. I searched the gallery, and there it was, a massive oil painting from the 1800s, a man and a woman, seated beneath a tree, hands intertwined. The woman wore a pale blue dress and had my exact face. Even the birthmark near her collarbone matched mine. The plaque beneath read, "Eliza Harrow and her fiancé, James Ashworth. Lost at sea, 1892. My blood ran cold." How could a painting from 130 years ago bear my face? I called my mother in a panic, asked about distant relatives, reincarnation, anything. She laughed it off, but I began to dream of drowning. Over and over, I saw myself on a ship at night, storm raging, James reaching for me before I was pulled under. I began seeing James everywhere, in reflections and dreams, sometimes across the street, watching protectively. I confronted him. "What are you?" I demanded. "Not what, when," he said. "I never died. I've waited through lifetimes for you to return." He claimed he had found a way, through science, magic, obsession, to anchor himself to this world so he could find me when I was reborn. In every life, he said, I died too soon. I've watched you die in 1943, in 1967, again in 1984. I lose you every time. I ran, blocked his number, moved cities, but the portrait followed me. One day in Manchester, it appeared in a temporary museum exhibit. Same painting, different place. James was there too. You can't run from love that was promised across centuries, he whispered. Eventually I gave in. We began to meet, talk. I asked him questions, trying to catch inconsistencies, but there were none. He knew things no one could. He took me to a grave marked Eliza Harrow Ashworth, beloved wife, lost too soon. The date of death was the exact day of my birth. I tried to rationalize it, but deep down I felt it. This wasn't just a man in love, this was fate. We moved into a cottage near Windermere, near where our supposed first life began. And for a while, it was beautiful. I felt loved, protected, like something ancient had finally found its home again. But then the dreams returned, only now I saw more. I saw James standing by the fire alone. I saw Eliza crying, begging him not to make the bargain. I saw a room full of clocks, all stopped at the same time. I woke up one night and found him gone. In the basement, I discovered an old trunk filled with journals, hundreds of them, all in his handwriting. Each detailed a lifetime he'd watched me live and die. Each ended with a page titled Methods to Anchor Her Permanently. Suddenly, it didn't feel like love. It felt like obsession. I tried to leave, but the roads flooded, the phone lines cut, the lake rose. One night, he stood in the doorway, soaked and shaking. "You were dying again," he said. "I had to start early this time." I screamed, "You're keeping me here." He nodded, eyes full of sorrow. "I'm saving you." I realized then he wasn't just keeping me from dying, he was keeping me from living. He trapped me in a perfect cage of memory and devotion. I tried escaping, once, just once. I got as far as the edge of the woods before I felt the world tilt. I woke up in a hospital. They said I'd been in a coma for 3 months, that there was no James, that I'd wandered into the lake and nearly drowned. But in my coat pocket was the locket inside the same photo, and the words, "Find me again,"